And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. As always, if you like this, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, I urge you desperately to subscribe to both the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, tell your friends, your family. Like I say, we really need subscribers. We're desperate for subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do something a little bit different, but it's very, very cool and it's very trendy today. And we're going to speak about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, the big Bitcoin. In the news, lots of people lost a lot of money on it, but we want to speak about what it is. And it's my pleasure to introduce David Peters, who's a financial advisor and a CPA to the show. He is the founder and owner of David Peters Financial Group and Peters Tax Preparation and Consulting. He is a representative offering securities through Cetera Advisor Networks and through Carroll Financial Associates, which is a registered investment advisor. David Peters, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Aaron.
I appreciate that. So let's mine right in, right? Let's speak about cryptocurrency. A lot of people ask me about it, and the fact is I don't know where to start, right? What is it? Like if you were talking to a layman, right? What is cryptocurrency?
Well, I think probably the easiest way to explain it is to say that it is a digital asset that functions kind of in the place of what we would typically think of money sort of being. But the thing is that it's not government regulated. So you don't have sort of a government standing behind it like you would see with other sort of classic currencies, Japanese yen, US dollars, those types of things. And so really that's typically the way that I describe it to clients.
I want to put it out there because we're both licensed, right? We're not telling anybody to run out and buy cryptocurrency. I don't even offer it on my platform, but certainly I am not recommending anybody to buy it. So for all you regulators out there, we did our job. So when we speak about it, so you say it's a digital currency, right? It's like the yen. How is it created, right? There's not a mint, right? That's just there's not a printing press which creates it. How does it come into the world, let's say?
Well, it's going to be something where it's going to be created onto what we refer to as a digital ledger. And so it is, and I think that probably the biggest thing right now that I think kind of throws, a lot of financial advisors off a little bit about it is just that it is one of those things that it's not a regulated investment yet. I think we're probably working towards that, but it's not a regulated investment yet. And I think that a lot of people just don't feel real confident in it being around in the future. In a way, it sort of almost feels like monopoly money, I think, to a lot of people right now.
Because you also don't really. It's a virtual currency, correct? Like you can't feel
Correct.
it. So when people speak about Bitcoin is just one of multiple cryptocurrencies. It might be the most famous. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, so there's definitely different types of assets that are out there. And even now, I think what has maybe muddied the waters maybe a little bit more for folks is now we have Bitcoin ETFs and things like that. So it's like we have and an ETF is not even a direct investment in crypto. So we have sort of these direct investments in crypto that are on unregulated markets. And then we have things like a Bitcoin ETF that is on a regulated market, but isn't a direct investment in crypto. And so I think that, because people can't feel it, because people can't really get their head around it, I think that is what holds a lot of people back from kind of embracing it. And I don't mean that necessarily just from an investment sense. I mean, we as a society, I think that, that's one of the things that holds us back from kind of embracing this idea of cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin, you're right, is one of many. And I think that the names itself aren't familiar to us yet.
And what's the difference between them? Like, what's the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and, every other one.
Yeah, well, and I think that right now, probably the at least from an investment standpoint, is that we really don't know yet, and so I think that that's really the problem. When you talk about a lot of other investments, I think that for example, stocks and bonds, we have lots of history to look to, so we can say things that in general, this particular type of asset reacts in a particular way in this type of environment. Like right now, heavy inflationary environment, what happens to bonds, what happens to stocks? We can answer those types of questions. With crypto, the sample size is so small because it just hasn't been around very long, and I think that that is the part that really from at least my standpoint, and I think probably a lot of my clients' standpoint, makes it so that we really don't see a whole lot of differences between kind of the basic digital assets.
Do you think that it's here to stay? Like I'll tell you, when it got to 70,000, right? When
Yeah.
Bitcoin got to 70,000, the feeling was, well, this isn't going to end well, right? We've all been
Right.
around, in this
Right.
business and seen things shoot to the moon and then, come crashing down and then they don't exist, right?
Right.
I mean, that sort of had that kind of feeling. Do you think that Bitcoin is here or cryptocurrency is here for the long run?
I think that digital assets are here for the long run. We are in an internet age. We are in an age where, internationally, I think that, we used to talk about kind of, diversifying a portfolio just in terms of kind of what was going on in the United States. And that's just not, that's
Right.
not the world we live in now. I mean, diversification is a lot more than that now. And so I do think that digital assets are around, but that they're around to stay. But I'm not sure that they're going to keep their current form. I don't think that they're going to. I think you're going to see more regulation. I think that, and I look at that as being a good thing. And I would also say too that they may not necessarily be kind of in the current state that they're in. You might see this kind of might be the first kind of wave of digital assets, and then we might see something kind of different further down the road. I think that could be that this may be kind of the first iteration of many.
Sort of like Netscape in the internet, so to speak.
I think that that's a great analogy. I mean, because when we first got the internet, I distinctly remember as a kid, kind of the old discs that we used to get through the mail. And I remember thinking, I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I know that I've heard of the internet, and I know that my computer makes all these like weird noises and stuff when it's trying to like log on to the internet. But I didn't even really understand, I think, kind of what it was. And over time, now it's not even, it's a completely different thing. And I think that you're going to see that with digital assets as well.
Do you think that actually like a government's going to come in and take over one of these digital assets and create their own digital asset? Do you think that's sort of I've always felt that's sort of what's going to happen at the end of the day? And they're going to put all the players out of business. There might be one winner, and everybody else will go out of business.
Yeah, I think that that's an interesting thought, because I think from a regulatory perspective, I see what you're saying, and I could see that being possible. At the same time, though, that also takes away from one of sort of the parts of digital assets that has always been kind of I don't know if a selling point is necessarily the right word, but something that has always been advertised about it is that it's not something that you're going to get a lot of intervention from the government on, and therefore it's going to be a faster way to distribute wealth, and I'm but at the same time, from a regulatory perspective, we need some rules. I mean, we need some transparency into what people are doing. I'm still amazed, at a lot of my clients that they said, well, I've invested in this digital asset or this digital asset on my own. And then I say, okay, well, what did you invest in? I don't know. And I think that and I don't think that's a very that's a very unusual story. I mean, I think a lot of people are just they just don't really know what they're getting into. They just know it's got a lot of buzz right now. And so I would like to get to the point where we have a little bit of a track record and where we can actually know where it fits in the portfolio.
That's that, that reminds me, back in in 2000, during the internet bubble, I
Yeah,
remember speaking to somebody, and I said, why do you want to buy this stock? He goes, I have no idea. It has four letters in the symbol, which
right,
meant at that time that it was on the NASDAQ, and that means it's just going to explode. So I don't know what they
right,
do. I couldn't care less, but it's
right.
just going to move up. It's the same kind of concept. Let's shift a little bit and speak about maybe risks to
Yeah.
people. Again, I want to put out the disclaimer again that we're not encouraging anybody to go out and run a Bitcoin. And again, I don't offer it, and what have you. But every now and then you read in the newspapers about some platform where the owner ran away with $250 million,
Yep.
or that people forgot their code. Right, there was that famous case, somebody forgot their code and they were wiped out of hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. Speak about that a little bit, and what investors need to look for so they don't fall prey to something like that.
Well, I think first and foremost is just looking for transparency in terms of reporting, and also also in terms of tax forms too. I mean, if the platform is willingly giving 1099s and things like that out to investors, and you're seeing regular statements and those types of things, those are things that I think are sort of immediate things to look for. Is that if a platform isn't reporting anything back to you, that's usually trouble. I think also too that watch for data security risks. I mean, to your point, I mean, I think that forgetting passwords and things like that, that's actually a big concern right now in the crypto market, is just the information security aspect of it. How easy is it for people to steal wealth, steal digital assets from other people? We have seen some stories about whether or not maybe criminals are able to to get onto Bitcoin platforms, to cryptocurrency platforms, and be able to steal wealth from people. And so be aware of kind of what is going on. How easy is it to get into your particular account? And look for things like dual authentication and the things that I think have kind of become commonplace, to make sure that your information is actually secure.
That's really interesting. Going back to something that you mentioned before, I had no idea, but you work in the tax world as well, that the platforms,
Hmm.
actually like a brokerage firm, right? They'll
Right.
send out a 1099 and they'll give you reports of your transactions and stuff like that.
Yeah. So this is actually a spot where the IRS is really looking at right now, is just the reporting of digital assets. And I this is something that I think a lot of clients still are not aware of. Even if you don't get a 1099 for something, you still have to report it. And the IRS is really has been cracking down here more recently about the transparency related to digital assets. So we saw the checkbox at the very top of the Form 1040, the individual tax return, this past year, where basically you had to disclose whether or not you had actually had any transactions in digital assets, and you had to actually disclose that. And the IRS has sent out letters reminding folks that they are responsible for reporting things. And this is, again, kind of goes back to what we were saying just a minute ago about the lack of regulation. When you have regulation, you have transparency and reporting. And so if you're on a platform that is giving out 1099s, that is at least some indication that they're being transparent. They're being transparent with the IRS. They're following the rules. And I think that part's important. Unfortunately, though, we have lots of platforms that are still not doing it. and the person who is investing in those assets, so the client is, coming at the end of the year, and they're going to have to go back and they're going to have to figure out, okay, when did I buy this? When did I sell this? When did I use this to pay for X? Those types of things, and that's been tough. And so the IRS is aware of the issue, and I think that you're going to get increasing amounts of burden, kind of reporting burden, record keeping burden on the taxpayer as we move forward.
You mentioned something that was really interesting for a prospective investor, right? To look for firms which do double authentication, or what
Mhm.
have you. Are there resources out there? Like, if I'm just like getting into this, again, I'm not not telling
Yeah,
people to buy a
right,
cryptocurrency, okay?
right.
But if I'm thinking about getting into it, are there resources which can help me sort of determine which are the more quote unquote secure platforms, as opposed to the more platforms out there which I might not get my money back at the end of the day?
Unfortunately, Aaron, I don't think that there's nearly enough out
No.
there to really sort of that really gives you that level of comfort. And so right now, I think it is just a matter of going out, looking at the platform, and really kind of doing your own due diligence, which I think is the part that's scary. That's the part that's scary about it, is that a lot of the stuff, you're doing it online. You're probably, because a lot of financial advisors, myself included, I don't offer cryptocurrency either. And so you're not working with a financial advisor directly. So you're just kind of, clicking on websites, and that is not always a good thing. I always say, stick to names that that's usually a pretty good way to at least start. And then also too, check it out yourself. How easy is it to actually get into your account? If it's too easy, then yeah, it's probably going to be really easy for somebody else to get in there as well.
Right. I'll tell you, there's another issue that I came across, with, I have international clients,
Hmm.
and we had somebody once who had, he was holding crypto somewhere, I don't know where, not where I'm located in Israel, and he cashed out, and he tried to bring the money back to Israel, and the Israeli bank wouldn't take it because it's proceeds. He had to say where the proceeds were from, and it was from foreign sale of crypto. And then he tried to bring it into the US, and his US
Hmm.
brokerage account also wouldn't handle it, right? So he was
Right.
sort of like completely stuck. Do you see things like that also in the US?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had similar issues in the United States as well, and I think that that is, again, an indication that your brokerage houses, they don't want to have anything to do with money that could be gotten from things that they don't want to be a part of, from criminal activity, and so because of that, they just refuse to take it. And I think that that's another thing too, is that if you are investing in these things, I mean, I think that we need to make sure that you can actually get your money out once
Right.
you put it in. I mean, and so I think that's a big deal as well. I think over time, I do think, Aaron, I do think that some of these things are going to change. I don't see how they can't. Otherwise, I don't think the digital assets really have a future. I mean, if we don't start to see regulation, if we don't start to see transparency, I don't know how you continue to have digital assets. I just there just would seem to be that there just wouldn't be enough trust there from the public for them to survive from a business standpoint.
Can you give us maybe like on the opportunity side where you see maybe an opportunity, and again on the risk side, what people should, just in summary, what people should look for on that end as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I think if you are wanting to get into cryptocurrency, I would think I would look at it as a very speculative investment at this point. And I would not necessarily look at it as something that is a good hedge for anything, right now, because again, you don't really know where it belongs in the portfolio yet. So look at it as something where I need to have enough money to invest in it where if I lose it, I lose it. And I think that, kind of looking at it as a very speculative investment, looking at and also paying attention to how it moves in relationships to the market. We did see a big uptick in just volume of cryptocurrency transactions a year ago or so. But that's come down quite a bit. So now we're kind of maybe in a little bit more normal times. Well, how does it move with the market? And so I think that that's probably the opportunities to really look for. From a risk perspective, the issue is just the unknown, and so we don't really know what it's going to do over the long term. And so just from a regulation perspective, a transparency perspective, as I think we've said, probably a few times at this point. I mean, I think that that's the big concern right now.
Right.
And again, I would stick to names, stick to platforms that you've heard of, stick to brokerage accounts that you know of. There are some things that are on regulated exchanges right now, ETFs and things like that, where that's not a direct investment in crypto, but it is something that you can at least have the regulation around, where you are investing in companies that are investing in crypto and things like that. And so that may be a way to sort of dip your toe in the water too, if you're looking to do that. And again, like you, I don't recommend crypto, and it's not something that I offer. But I do think that those are at least a few things to keep in mind.
That's great, David. This was fascinating. It really was fascinating. How can people be in touch with you?
Sure. If you would like to get a hold of me, you're welcome to reach out to me, David at davidpetersfinancial.com. Happy to talk to any of the listeners if there's something that I can help you with. Please let me know.
That's great. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me, Aaron.
You've been tuning into the Aaron Katzman Show, where we speak about your life, your money, and your investments. As always, if you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe both to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you soon.